Couldn't make it today. Oh.
How are you?
One more. How do we unlock that?
Yeah. Just got to leave them here, right? I've got to put in my 15 character symbols and numbers.
What?
I'll see it today.
Write it down, buddy.
He's not here.
See that one, okay? Really?
Our holidays just started. Yeah. Kia ora koutou. For the live stream, are you able to?
We're not doing live stream. We record them and then publish them.
Are we all going? Excellent.
We're too high risk, Madam Chair, so we should make sure people watch the video first.
Thank you, so kia ora koutou and welcome to all those here in person and online. Can you hear me online? I'll just check that. Right.
Yes, we can.
Thank you. I'll just ask you to remain on mute until I ask the deputation to speak. Thank you. So welcome, and it's great to be here at our committee meeting for Transport and Infrastructure to Koukou Committee. In terms of the opening prayer, I would like to invite Councillor Balke to do the prayer today. We have not announced our deputy chair, and the formalities will come into effect soon, but just a little preamble that I do intend to select Rachel to be my deputy chair. So she'll just open with our prayer today. Thank you.
Thanks. E tia toa, ho mai kia mātou, tō rangi Mārie, tō aroha, tō kaha, tō maramatanga, mō tēnei rā. God, give us your peace, your understanding, your wisdom as we make these decisions for our community. Amen.
For deputations today, we have online our first deputation regarding the lily pond. Tamara, I'll have to ask you to introduce your last name because I may pronounce it incorrectly. Tamara, so welcome, no mai haere mai, to speak to us. We do have standing orders. Have you been informed of the time frame?
No.
Five minutes.
5 minutes this morning, but we do have another deputation that hasn't arrived yet, so we may be lenient on that because there may be questions. Thank you. You're welcome to speak, Tamara. Thank you.
Oh, hi. Yeah, no questions so far. Thank you.
If you can address the room, and then any questions from councillors will follow.
Okay, well, I'm Tamara and my last name is Reboujon. It's a very difficult one. I'm sitting here with Carl and Nikki, who are my neighbours. And yes, we really not sure what a deputation is, to be honest. And we're just really wanting things done for our Lily Pond Lane, because it's been a few years that we've had lots of trouble with cars, dust, health issues and things like that. And having a reserve at the end of the lane kind of makes it really your responsibility. That's what we think.
Especially with the public toilet there.
And it's a very popular community area that the locals love to use in the summer, and we love to have people come. But when it's completely destroying what metal there is on the road that hasn't been replaced for many years now, it's just a nightmare, especially for the residents at the bottom of Lily Pond. The dust and the dirt and the speed. It's just makes it hard work for us living here, and we want to share what a beautiful place it is with the locals, but we can't keep putting up with this without some help from council.
If you may have seen certain photos that may have given you an idea of the depth of the potholes, you may appreciate how much difficulty it is for us to maintain a public road at our discretion, because we have to foot the cost with the amount of public that travel our road. And unfortunately, we are looking for help from council, and council probably needs to look very favourably at tar sealing this road.
If that's a conclusion of you speaking to the matter, I do have questions just open from the floor. Just to understand the issues for you. Number one, it doesn't sound like Lily Pond Lane is on the maintenance schedule for our council roading department. Is that correct?
Yes, we've had, I mean, years and years and years ago, we've put RFSs in one after the other, saying that we need help maintaining the road, especially since there's a public reserve with a toilet at the end. And we've been given numerous resolutions as such. We've been told it's a paper road, then we've been told it's a private road, then it's a non-council maintained road. Get different answers every single time. And yeah, I mean, if it's a private road, we lock it. And then nobody can use the reserve at the end, which is not what we want, because everyone in the area loves it, goes there all the time. But at the same time, I think we just need help with the maintenance of the road to get it tar sealed, to reduce the dust issue.
It's definitely not on any maintenance programs
No.
that we're aware of. I think we've had it I think Bucko Lane said that he requested that they put metal down, and they did put metal down. Is that maybe 18 months, 2 years ago now? Once. We've lived here for 15 plus years, and that's the only time, maybe one other time I think we've had it done.
It's been graded one other time.
Yeah.
In all that time.
Yeah, that was Waka Kotahi that came and did it while they did road maintenance out on the main road.
But we've had all of Waka Kotahi's big trucks coming up and down lately. And I mean, the road just can't handle it. It's
not only that, the city care truck or whatever maintenance little truck comes in every morning, every night to lock the gate, open the gate to Lily Pond. So it's a strange one.
A supplementary question to that. So the ideal outcome that you're asking for is, number one, for it to be on the maintenance register of council's metal roads, and number two, did I hear that you're requesting for it to be tar sealed?
Yes, I think number one would actually be to have it tar sealed, and then number two to maintain it.
And are the residents offering to pay for the tar sealing, or are you saying that you want council to pay for the tar sealing?
We want council to pay for it. You've got the public reserve at the end of it with the toilet.
50 plus people today that use it.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, the summer we've got cars parked all along Lily Pond. The reserve area around the toilet is full with cars. there's cars speeding in and out continuously in the summer. Winter, obviously, a little bit slower. There's still visitors coming all the time. So, yes, definitely tar seal. And if the council can do that, that would be obviously much appreciated.
Thank you. Can I get clarity from staff? Number one, if the carriageway of the road is owned publicly, is it a vested council road, or if it's a privately owned shared access or right of way
Through the chair, it's a privately maintained road.
and owned road?
I'd have to check in our database about the ownership, but in our roading database, it is deemed private ownership, private maintenance.
Maintenance. Can we just clarify the legal tenure as well?
Sure,
Thank you.
I'll find that out.
We get,
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We've been told it's private road, then it's council, non-council maintained road, paper road. It seems to change all the time. I mean, we would like to see evidence
Of what it
to,
is.
yeah, what it actually is, because nobody seems to really have a 100% definite of the status of the road. And how can it be a privately owned road when there is a public council reserve with a facility at the end?
I think
Doesn't make any sense.
They put the public toilet in.
Yeah.
If it was a private road, surely they would have to get our consent.
And it's
And if
over
it's-
your land as well.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, there's a boundary issue there.
Yeah.
But if it is a private road, then surely we're allowed to control the access in and out of it. If we're going to take on responsibility of the maintenance totally, then the locals are going to miss out on a highly popular
Yeah.
area. Oh, it's so confusing.
Yeah, very.
Thank you. Yes, there's some confusion there. We'll get some response from our staff. We've had it clarified. It's not on the maintenance schedule currently for our roads, but we'll clarify the tenure of the road, of the ownership. Did any other elected members have any questions? The deputation this morning?
Madam Chair, just as a matter of procedure for deputations, I do think we need to formalise that the committee would like to receive a staff report at a future committee meeting. Otherwise, they can just drop off the radar.
Through the chair, there is normal procedure
Can
and
you please speak?
there is normal procedure and that's the way we do it. However, this particular deputation came straight from Councillor Stratford to Chair Boy. We only saw it after it was approved. We haven't been able to follow the procedure because we didn't know about it.
Oh, no, sorry, we quite often get deputations like this. Apologies, I didn't know you were coming today. So when we received deputations, as we did at the last infrastructure committee meeting, I raised a procedural point then that I'd like to receive reports back. So the elected members are in a position to make a decision. Otherwise, it just disappears into the ether.
Thank you, Councillor Court. I agree. We implemented an action sheet so we can keep a template of the actions to be taken. We won't have a response for you today. Sorry, Tamara and fellow Lily Pond Lane residents. But what we will do is we will have a response within a timeframe that staff can agree to, and I'll just ask the staff the timeframe for a response.
The next meeting?
So by the next meeting, which is in a month, you will have a response about the information that we do have. Any decisions on any tar sealing, etc. That may need to come back to us in a paper about options about what we can do, and is really based on central government funding and what they provide to us as a council, because we get 71% of our funding from central government for road.
Yep.
So thank you. Before our next meeting, you'll have a response, and then also the next steps in a paper, etc. will proceed, as well as we have a policy on the maintenance of council roads and how we add roads to that maintenance schedule. that policy is in another committee, but it interrelates with our committee. The committee is run by Councillor Stratford. So we will need to have that roading maintenance policy addressed before we can also have a consistent approach, not just to your road, but to all the roads across the district that want to be on the maintenance.
Yeah, there's one more thing too. Our Lily Pond Lane is about 220 meters long. We have an open speed limit on a gravel road, which is also quite ridiculous because we do have kids on the lane as well. And people that drive down there to go to Lily Pond have got no regard for pedestrians or safety of locals. Yeah.
They're just adhering to the 100 mile an hour speed limit and doing their burnouts.
So we can seek clarity on that as well.
Just like through the chair to ask, could photos be sent to staff of your your road you're talking about, please?
Did you want us to send photos?
Please.
That might help.
I know
Please.
that Kelly has taken a whole heap of photos when she was having the meeting with us. And yeah, it was, I mean, I'm happy to take more photos, but it's like double handling.
And we have member Belinda Ward here as well, that has a supplementary question.
Sure, everybody. Just as a matter of reference, this is quite a historical issue.
Okay.
And there should be a very thick file at council on this. This has gone through a number of property owners and I'm well aware of the history of it. It is signed as a private road, but I'm sure we will look further into that. So you just don't want to waste a lot of time and money renewing and resurrecting unless we can get our hands on that file. There should be quite a history on this.
Not a problem. Thank you for the insight. Thank you for your time today, Tamara, and Lily Pond Lane residents. We'll be in touch shortly, and our next deputation we have here is Joe Carr from the Northland Regional Council, and I'll just ask him to come to the front.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Tamara. Oh, if you can come to the centre, if that's okay, because we have people online as well.
Oh, okay.
Councillor Carr, thank you.
Okay.
So you may know Councillor Carr, but I'll get him to introduce himself. I asked him to come here as well, in particular about the Kaitaia or Awanui River and the event that we had, and he knows a lot about that background and what's happened prior to that, and also what we've learned from the event. Thank you, Councillor Carr.
Cheers. Oh, thank you very much, Joe, NRC councillor. I used to be a Farnworth district councillor and chaired the roading, drainage and stormwater committee. I had a deputy chair, Fiona King, so I can put a history to this council. And it's the 26/7 March flood. NRC's having a real stock take on that, and there's been significant losses from flooding, and also in the urban area or in the developed area, it's not urban property, accurate to say, and also the drainage districts, and I'm thinking in particular around Lake Tangoni, where held back water is pasture and become anoxic, and it's actually real negative environmental effects having its kills. So on and I might add that the flood we just had was a 237 year return flood. It's real what, and the outside scheme is 100 year protection. So it's a point of interest. And look, you know, the Far North has drainage districts, and it used to own the Awanui River Management Scheme, and probably I was on the council when we had it, and when we transferred it to the from the Far North down to NRC, we should have transferred them both. Really should have, because there's just this massive interface. And we've got, you know, at the moment, the drainage district drains, especially around the Aranui. Many of them are sedimented up completely, and that has an effect on our cabinets, because what it does, it means that the sediment is getting into these main channels, and they're very hard to clean. It's a big, wide, massive things, whereas the drains are quite small. And attended your meeting on Monday for the drainage district, stayed for the Aranui part of the event. But I just think that we could do a lot to work together, NRC and FNDC. What you've got such a backlog of blocked drains up there that you really need to give authority to the landowners to clear those drains if they wish to. And they'll probably do it at their own expense. So when you do something like that, you've got to be able to specify what they do, or else you've got some risk. And what we need is, I don't know if you've got it, the drain maps with your relative drainage areas, you need them on GIS. And then we need to impose LiDAR on top of it. And if we've got them on GIS and put LiDAR on top of it, we can specify drain depths. Means that some things it's a drain, we can say go below that level. And that's quite important for peak and significant natural areas. So it's really important to get that right. And the big benefit from that is that when you put your drains out to tender, people can actually quantify what you need to do. And you can't do that at present. And it's just so difficult and very expensive because you just can't get decent tendering going. So that would be really good. And if we can work with you, NRC, to do that, that would be absolutely brilliant. At the moment, you're using jet handguns for spraying. And if we can turn over and start using drones and do them twice a year, your costs are going to just reduce. The big thing what I want to see, and this talk from the NRC's perspective, is to stop this sedimentation of the drains, and it's quite easy. As if we get the LiDAR, and we can do it visually, but we actually know when the drains level out when they come down the hills. And at that point there, we can build a soil traps, just take drain deeper or a bit wider, and then you'll find that lower drains below that might have to be cleared once every 10 years. You know, it's just so big cost saving and be good. So yeah, I think that's all I've come to talk about. I think it's quite simple to get this to happen, and we'd like to do an integrated manner. We are the Waiho floodgates are what's called holding back the flooding in Lake Tangoni, and we really want to work on that in consultation with you and your drains. So we're a project here, probably require quite a big investment by NRC. The other thing is you actually own all the floodgates throughout Kaitaia that go into the Aranui River. And we get paid for all their maintenance and replacement NRC because it's reputational for us if they fail. And it's massive amount of money we've spent to make it done that. But the big worry is if, and it's not if, it's when, we can build levels of protection, but sometime they'll be breached. Might be in 100 years' time, might be 10 years' time. How the hell do we get the water out? Answer it. Because that's FNDC's business, you know, and it's a real biggie. And we'd like to investigate things like Venturi floodgates, which actually draw water out while the levels are up high and do stuff like that. And so there's a bit of stuff we'd like to do with District Council. The biggie I came in about was for the CEO to be able to delegate authority to the landowners to clear their own drains. If we can do that, specify the depths by having the depths indicated on the plans. I think it'll start really winning.
Thank you, councillor Carr. We have our land drainage, the staff who deal with land drainage here and who deal with urban stormwater. Through our CEO, can we have a response from our staff just on the matters raised?
Sorry, through the chair, mate. Would you like a response now, or would you like us to do a report on whether or not that's feasible for what councillor Carr's proposed?
We just have a very quick summary of what's going on up there, because I thought we addressed this 2 years ago. We initiated spraying and clearing of drains, etc., which hadn't been done for the previous 6 years.
Yes.
Where are we at with the
Yes.
project and the contractors?
Through the chair.
So are you able just to stand up? Because I don't think people can see you.
Through the chair, mate. Can I just defer to Tui? She's been working with the land drainage committees on work programs, and so she can give a project as of today.
In terms of the floodgates, are you able to respond? Being council assets and not being maintained?
We haven't had any involvement with the floodgates, to my knowledge. So if that is the case, where NRC has been maintaining those and they are council assets, that's something we would need to look into and potentially take over.
Through the chair, don't get hung up about that. We've done doing it. Yeah, we're just moving on. The main thing is to get
Thank
the
you for doing
drainage
your job.
district drains going. That's what I'm about.
Yeah.
I'm not sort of want to go back here, but it is an issue of how we get around if Otai gets inundated.
Sorry, we have been doing a drone GIS pilot through Mutatangi drainage fields, and which is recommendation has gone to the committees to do that through Kaitaia as well. We do have our drainage maps on the GIS, but part of this drone flying is to update them to ensure that they are the right length and in the right places with today's conditions. So there has been a significant amount of work happening there. The work program for spraying and machine clearing is well underway and has been progressing. Yes, you just stand up.
So through the chair.
Yeah.
Kia ora. So we met with the land drainage committees this week and Joe was there. What we're up to is that the management plans, which haven't been updated since 2017, that's been a priority for our group because that then triggers all the operational plans that should flow out of it. We are set to have a workshop to finalise those plans on the 11th of May. The invites are going out to the workshop groups with the draft management plans, which will then lock in the spray and machine program for this following year. So we've provided what we want to propose for the works for this upcoming year, and we're going to work with the committees on the 11th to finalise them. I endorse what Joe says about it came up with the farmers that look, they want to be able to have the ability to clear their drains, especially with what has happened in the weather events and that. I would propose that we have some form of structured way of being able to record and report that works that are coming in. But if that is an ability that we can provide those farmers, then I would endorse that as well.
Thank you, Tui. And my understanding from a discussion with Councillor Carr today was that it needs CEO sign off for any work program with farmers that are taking the drain clearance.
Yes, excuse me. I understand you've got a bylaw that restricts or prevents farmers from doing stuff unilaterally, and I can understand that. And I think you definitely want to have a structured process where a farmer actually makes the request, and you can actually say to them, well, this drain cannot go below a certain depth, and this is the extent you can do it. And it sounds like you've got all that mapping of the water. So, and I'm glad you got on GIS because we can put LiDAR there, and perhaps NRC would help by suggesting where the sediment traps should be. You know, we'd love to help, and then it's going to save you a fantastic amount of money. And just clear those tracks, might be 100 metres long instead of a kilometre of drain.
Minimal has a supplementary question.
Oh, this is probably more a question for staff because my ear got prickled up when I heard about drones. Because I love drones, I love new technology and what you can get from that. But the last time we sent drones and used GIS maps, I was just this little councillor and we ended up with a massive equally of all my aunties and uncles and the farmers in our district because of SNAs. And I just want to make sure that the way that we're applying the work streams here going through processes, and I hear that we're going through our drainage committees to oversee what that is, but that we're making sure that the parameters that we're using the tech around are going to be, I don't know, I don't want to have another equally come up. I mean, because we send drones out and then we pick up other things, or we start to send out tickets to people and then people get angry and come presenting. But it sounds like everything is, it's all being agreed upon by our magazine committee.
So yes, well, that's why we piloted the first multi-tangi. We engaged to ensure that all owners along that drain and the parameters that are required for that draining specifically for that reason. That was a pilot, so we learned lessons. Happy to provide some data out so you can have a look at what actually the output of those drone surveys were. If we have missed something that I'm not aware of, I'm happy to come and get some advice or to make sure that we cover everything for the future ones that are coming in, which is quite high.
And one other little point is a huge amount of resource goes into getting resource consents, and I understand the government has instructed councils, regional councils, that consents that need renewing can roll over to 2030. It's so that when they've got their replacement RMA in place and then national standards imposed, a whole lot of issues that things like the Northern Regional Council's plan are causing will be sorted out. And the drains really get affected because they get colonised by indigenous species. Some of them cause a drain wetland. And we're hoping that the government's going to sort of that sort of nonsense stuff out.
Councillor Belkey has a question and also. Thank you. I just wanted to acknowledge the work that's been done on the river, and whilst there was major flooding with that event, it would have been catastrophic had that not been done. And I don't think the public really realised just how bad that could have been. So thanks to NRC for your work on that. Is there, I thought it would be great just to update everyone with what future work is still going to be done on those stop banks around Bakapak and Save, State Highway 10. There was some work still to be completed.
What do you have cause and effect with water? You have winners and losers. When we prove something that we're diverting water, and legally we can't make someone's situation worse. So we've had to start our major works at the bottom of the river system. And one particular landowner's had a real hiding from NRC, Will Ty. He's been so patient. That's right down the bottom of the Fontani Spillway. So what we found in this last flood was Donald's Road Bridge was a real impediment, and I always thought that would be the jam that would actually flood North Park from there, because it just has to jam up with vegetation, and North Park would be really flooded with some real water. It got a slow flood this last time. It's quite a risky bit. So going back to the start, we've just done Quarry Road, putting an extra span in that, and through Shane Jones' assistance. what we found in this flood is we need to put a span in the State Highway 10 down the bottom of Fontana spillway, and you notice all the stop banking work is providing for that. It's going to have a lot of capacity, so we get another span. It's all been designed for that. And Donald's Road Bridge needs replaced or pulled out. We'd like to see it pulled out. Actually, we don't care if you have a bridge or not, but it is. It needs to be at least a third longer. And if you go under the bridge, its beams are bent. And when you've got bent beams, structurally, they're compromised. Beams got to get straight. You know, they're bent. And really, if you look at the development, you wonder whether you place it on a single bridge. I'd say you do it with a 2-lane bridge. The thing is, you get 71% subsidy. And NRC gets out and rates places, and the rate places paying for it in entirety. And so we've got to work together on Donald's Road Bridge as a matter of urgency. And if we get State Highway 10 and Donald's Road Bridge to be done currently, that breakout of Pack and Save wouldn't happen in that massive rate. The North Park is getting over 100 gear, we call it, return flood protection, way over. And we get the numbers on that, it probably might be 130 or 150 gear design protection. It's getting, we can calculate what it is, but on our maps, it's only got 20-year protection. And people have gone and chosen to develop outside the urban area in a piece of land that everybody else avoided developing in. It's really low. It's a ponding area, natural ponding area, and no one's surprised that it flooded. But anyway, we want to improve that. The rough order costs to actually bring stopping has to start at what we call the choke or the start of where the Fontana spillway and the Awanui divide, and it's got to go right around and behind Pack and Save, and the money will probably be in the order of $1.5 million, right? It's quite big money, so that's something else we could do. But the big one is we can cheat a lot if we get those 2 spans and get rid of that Donald's Road Bridge. Can you help us with that one? Because it really should be coming up. Roading matter.
Thank you, Councillor Carr. I'll ask our roading staff to respond about those 2 bridges in particular. Need to get a response from NZTA as well about the State Highway 10 one, because I did see videos of the flow in the spillway lapping that bridge in this event.
And that should be in the Northern Infrastructure Plan. You've got a strategy.
And we've got a last question from Member Bill.
Just through the chair, staff and Joe have answered most of my questions, but thank you for your turning up yesterday, Joe. And I look forward to seeing you on the 11th. During the meeting, we were shown drone footage of Mototangi, but I found them that they were brilliant in terms of everyone sitting there watching, and it was so easy to see the choke areas. And so if we could apply that to the other 3 areas, that would be brilliant. It would be a godsend. The other thing that I forgot to mention, all 3 chairs were re-elected, and probably a good at this stage because we need their expertise in moving forward. Just a question for you, Joe. At the corner or behind Pack and Save, around that area there, we're always going to have trouble with those stop banks. So because of the nature of the soil, they're going to be undercut, for want of another word. Is part of our scheme part of laying rocks right around the base of those?
Well, that's extremely difficult, that area, because Pack and Save is probably 10 metres from the edge of the river. And when you're trying to stack a stop bank up, that ground there has got no structural strength, like you're saying. That's a real hard one. And who's responsible for the engineering of that? You're dead right. It's a problem. We've cleaned, and this is well before the storm, and we've really done a lot of channel work through that section too. We booked land, what's the name of the bridge? By the State Highway 1 bridge.
Oh, I'm not sure, the one between Bowes and Dakota Intermediate.
Yeah. Just downstream of that bridge, we booked 2 sections, widened the river there. It's been a lot of money invested in trying to get the Awanui as best as we can through that area. Yeah, but you're dead right. It's not easy. That ground is difficult, and where we've had failures is generally where the old river loops have come through, and that because the Awanui River, as we know, it's actually an engineered channel, and where the old meanders come back in, that's where we get our failures. Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Carr. Just to note for the other members, our operational staff will now always be attending your Awanui River meetings. So it'll be a great opportunity to network, look at combining our different budget lines and our internal resources so that we can sort out both river, stormwater, drainage, at a catchment approach.
Great.
Thank you so much for your time and all your effort to save Koukou.
That's great. So if we can get that we get LiDAR and post on your GIS maps, and we'll get NRC staff to actually help you locate some sediment traps, that'd be a choice. And, we want help. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
We need to work together better. Thank you.
Yes. You got no nasty roading questions?
We have papers later, and so if you're wanting to stay later.
I will if you got something you want to ask me, otherwise we've got to go and make dollars somewhere.
I think sorry, Madam Chair. I would very much like to have a follow-up meeting around the Hokianga Ferry and its future and what we need to do in that space. It's got a expiry date on our Kohura Tuarua ferry. We are going to be asked in PX today on a contract extension for the operation of that. We also know that it needs to be reclad to give it some extra life. And we had in the previous term money put aside for a feasibility study on the future what that looks like. But I know that that's something that you had previously had interest in when on your time in this council, but also as our regional transport committee chair. So I think one that would like to have a catch up with separately on.
Yeah, no, happy to. And I suppose what you got to work out is the long-term costs of the options. And the time you had the Koukou, you could have built 2 bridges in your roading system just out operating costs, and that's a discussion that's, you're talking 20, 30 years. That's there, and there's also tidal generation you can do now. Anyway,
Joe.
Thank you, Councillor Khan. So we'll move on now with the confirmation of previous minutes.
Yes.
So I'm happy to move. It's on page 8 of the agenda. Do we have a seconder?
Oh, sorry, Madam Chair, I forgot to put in apologies for Councillor Rakinen. Each of those. He's had his uncle's tangi today.
Yes, so well, before we move that, the previous minutes, I'm happy to move the apologies. And do we have any declarations of interest? Otherwise, we can just move those at the start of each of the they do come up. And so move the apologies. All in favour? Passed. So we'll move the previous minutes. I'm happy to move those as well. Councillor Balfe, any changes or anything brought up? Any of those minutes? All in favour? Any opposed? All in favour? Aye. Carried. So we will now move on to item 5.1. That is the budget transfer request. With this item here, we have the author of the paper who can speak to the paper before we move it. Because I can see this is a bit of a change in the culture of how we approach our capital works.
Sorry, Madam Chair. I like not being the chair, but I also don't like people who are hoha to the chair, but I'm going to be hoha, sorry, just on the previous minutes. I'm listed as being in attendance, but I was only sporadically in attendance at this Te Koukou Transport and Infrastructure meeting. If you will recall, we were preparing for the state of the whānau. And so I was also in a Mayor's Task Force Jobs meeting at the same time as this, but the minutes don't reflect that in the way they're represented. It's like I was a part of that entire committee meeting, so I wonder how the GGs could perhaps capture the fact that I was in the meeting. I swallow, yeah. Something just to note and maybe tidy up later. It just, the way it reads is that I was there the whole time, but I wasn't in there.
On page 10. So we can come back to that later in the meeting, and if we need to, we'll have to move 75% of the members in order to re-vote on the minutes, retake that paper. So we'll move on to 5.1. And we have got Matt Richardson here, and I'll just ask him to come and speak in the centre so that those online can see, and also to address any questions before we move the paper. Because, as I said before, this is a bit of a different approach to the Capital Works program and why this has been tabled today. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Right, so the paper in front of the committee refers to two projects, being the Rangatani boat ramp and the Paihia waterfront development project. So both projects are currently in a similar state. So a brief history of both projects is that they have received council funding in previous iterations of long-term plans, and also central government funding through COVID response and recovery funding back in 2020 as well. So, and also they were deemed to be ready and going through government's fast track resource consenting process as well. So both projects have gone through numerous iterations of design through consultation with key stakeholders, with whenua, business associations, and they're at the stage now where, although some work has been completed, especially on the Paihia waterfront development project, there is time still needed to redesign, engage with the community, and understand the final scope of what both projects look like. So the paper in front of the committee asks that the current funding that's within year 2 of the LTP, like the 24-27 period, is transferred for council deliberations, within the next long-term plan. So the projects, although iterations have started on the designs, they're not quite ready yet to deliver within the current LTP, and the request is to transfer the budget and seek further time for community engagement.
I'll ask for questions from the floor before we move the item, and just to see points of clarity, because I had a question, because I can see that it's proposed to move to year 1, but I'm aware that the Rangatani boat ramp fast track consent was declined, and so I'm not sure what we're approving the money for if nothing's consented. And I guess the same as for waterfront, Paihia waterfront improvements. I'm not sure of the scope of works and if any of that needs consenting or not. And if so, where any consenting for that is at?
Through the chair, yes, talking with Far North Holdings, who will be delivering the project on behalf of council. You're correct, Madam Chair, is that there is further scope refinement required before we finalise on what the project looks like, consenting purposes and funding. So, yeah, being considered for future iteration of the LTP is the request. But yeah, year one may be a push, but that was the advice received from Far North Holdings.
Are there any other questions?
Just, Madam Chair, my understanding is that there was a further appeal, right, which Far North Holdings were considering, and we're yet to hear back from them. At one of our workshops.
The High Court has ruled on that.
I'm not in a
So
position-
Far North Holdings should be updating us.
I'm not in a position to offer planning expertise like you are, Madam Chair. All I can just reiterate was that it came up in the workshop and they said that there was a further avenue for them to explore and they were going to report back to us.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just clarification around the Paihia waterfront improvement. Having been involved in a working party group on that one, and we were just about to commence that when we got hit with another weather event and our services got threatened. So obviously there's some urgent works done there. So just really obviously appreciating the need to carry this budget forward to protect our infrastructure, but also wondering where it sits with rescope and given we were about to go from the wharf to Bayview Road, this eastern side of Navanui. Can you just update me on that, please? We've been there for a while.
Through the chair, so yes, further engagement is needed with Focus Paihia to work on that scope development, enhance our engagement. So from what I understand from Far North Holdings at present is that further workshops are planned in the interim in the near future to further develop the scope and the engagement protocols and what that might be.
When you said Far North Holdings, you meant Focus Paihia?
Focus Paihia, my apologies.
If we don't have any other questions, we can put the item to vote. I was going to move an alternative motion about year 1 or 2 because we haven't had the deliberations as yet for the annual plan to decide what should go in what years. And also because these projects will be competing with other projects that may already be consented and scoped and be able to be made real. So we shouldn't put money in the budget for items that aren't ready to be delivered. So on that basis, A and B, I'm happy to move to year 1 or 2 of the long-term plan, and that allows us the ability to have that debate for the annual plan. Do I have a seconder for the motion, and we'll be adding to year 1 or 2?
Just a procedural matter, I'm not quite sure how 1 or 2 would be reported. I think it has to be one or the other. Can we get some advice from Ed?
Either or, I mean, if they've been started, it'll be to carry it forwards anyway for the LTP process.
It hasn't been started, so
Hasn't been started at all?
No.
No.
It'll be another project.
Correct.
For the LTP process.
Sorry, the question was to amend the resolution to year 1 or 2. Can we have or 2, or for accounting purposes, does it need to be one or the other?
Well, it can go in either or. Thing is that are we envisaging completing the entire project by year 1? Is it going to carry over anyway, go to year 2? I'm not sure of the scale of the project. So you could say year 1 or 2, both, but year 1, if it's not completed, will carry over automatically.
Charlie's got his hand up.
Charlie's on.
What I'd say is, you know, last long-term plan, we had all these different projects. And then Miss Tanya come to us and they had number between 1 and 4, and that was where they were at in their design or ready to go-ness. And so we were like, anything that's 1 or 2, move it out. Anything that's 3 and 4, move it in. You know, like, only have it in there if it's ready. So I don't know if we need to prescribe what the year is, because these just need to come to us with that whole list of different things. And then we're like, those aren't ready here, those are ready there. And then we do a little shuffle thing.
Through the chair, correct, yes, the schools point of view.
Charlie, are you able to speak to the item?
Madam Chair, just type
You're
up
mute.
Yeah.
Can you turn your volume up, please, Mr. Billington?
Sorry, is that better?
Yes.
Right. Just tai toko Mayor Moko's comment there. If the committee wishes to endorse the project being in the next long-term plan, there will be a number of projects brought forward for elected member consideration. Timing of the project will be considered as a part of that as well, and that will give staff the opportunity to evaluate deliverability and the time period required to deliver the project. So that may be, it could be done in the first year. It could be that it spans multiple years, and that information would come back to council for deliberations on the long-term plan. The signal from this committee would be around the intention or the endorsement for that project to come back as a part of that long-term plan process.
Can we then just take out, not even say anything, and just say from the 2024-27 long-term plan to the 2027-37 long-term plan?
That would address it. Thank you. So on that basis, I'm happy to just remove to year 1 and just have it long-term plan to the 2027-2037 long-term plan. And that allows the budgets also to be split up. So if it's 500,000 one year and another amount another year. So our governance, just remove to year. So year
Okay, year 1 of, so it says to the.
So move by myself and second by move. Is there any other debate on the item? All in favour? Opposed? Carried. So 5.1 infrastructure, 6.1 infrastructure compliance. And we have, I'm told we have Scott to speak to this item. This is about receiving a report. So I'll just get Scott to please stand, and if you can please come to the middle, that could be helpful. So we're on page 20 of our agenda. Thank you, Scott.
Chair, if I may, I'd just like to for you to accept my report as read, and is there any questions?
Thank you, Scott. And recognising that there are other reports in the agenda, when I was reading this one, I felt that clearly there's a lot of activity underway, and I acknowledge there's been a lot of progress at some individual sites. However, the details showing recurring non-compliance, long delivery timeframes, and in some cases fixes that aren't yet delivering results worry me. The report understandably focuses on progress, but it's hard to see the full extent of the underlying issues and the overall trajectory. So I had some questions, and I'm happy for you to take them away. I'm not going to put you on the spot today. One of the things I'd like to see is how many wastewater plants are fully compliant now compared to 6 to 12 months ago, and what is the target date to move beyond the current 4 out of 15? Of the abatement notices issued in this period, how many relate to treatment performance versus monitoring, and how does this compare to previous years? Will moving the sampling compliance point at Hihi actually change the quality of discharge to the environment, or does it just change how compliance is measured? And to what extent are weather and avian impacts within the design and operational tolerance of these plants? And what capital or operational changes would be required to manage those? So I'm not going to ask you to answer all that today. I'm going to give you the piece of paper and let you have a think about that with the next infrastructure committee meeting.
I can answer a couple of those for you if you wish, though. Changing the compliance point, monitoring point at Hihi will not change what is currently discharged to the environment, although it is a resource consent condition that after the upgrades that we're undertaking, the compliance point is able to be changed post UV rather than post constructed wetland.
Thank you.
And currently there are, as I think the report states, we have 4 compliant wastewater treatment facilities out of 15. Compared to 6 months ago, that figure hasn't changed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just looking at Koukou. I didn't bring my magnifying glass to read that table today, but why is the monitoring inconsistent?
What's the monitoring system? That's actually an operational matter that I am dealing with as well around the monitoring. For some reason, a individual site was monitoring site was missed off the schedule. And that has been addressed. It is now back onto the schedule, so that we are now compliant with that abatement notice we received for that.
I had a question about one of the items brought up this morning from Councillor Khan, and it's not part of your reporting, so I'm not sure why. What about the consenting of the land drainage schemes? I didn't see anything in here about that. Do you have a response about that? Because there's been discussion about that with the other councils across Northland. And further to that, the timeframe for the drone GIS mapping, not just of the council assets, but of the area of benefit for the drains that lead to those council assets and that are covered by the bylaw and the area of benefit for rating.
So for the last question around the droning, I'm unclear on whether I don't have the answer for you whether or not the area of benefit has also been mapped with the drone. I believe it's only the drains themselves and the 10-metre exclusion zone either side of those drains that is currently being mapped within the droning pilot. So we would have to come back to you on the area of benefit part of that, I suppose. As for the resource consents, it is my understanding that we have been directed by Northern Regional Council that we must apply for those resource consents for those land drainage areas.
By?
No, I'm sorry, I don't have the date at hand, but I would be able to come back to you on that. So I know our consenting team is working on those consents specifically.
It'll be great to have a response about that because Katie Maguire from the consenting area, but there was no imposed date.
From
Northern Regional Council.
Oh, from Northern Regional Council. Okay, yeah.
That was a self-imposed internal date.
Okay.
And if you come back about the drone mapping as well.
Yes.
Because there is a discussion and a debate about the land drainage as part of the district plan, either it being a bylaw or a district plan role in the next few weeks as well.
Yes.
Thank you.
No further questions?
Yes, I'll just get you to remain there because we haven't actually moved the item. Member Balke.
Thank you, Chair. Just wanted to check, is this the place that we would ask about the Taipa wastewater desludging? We have a timeline of when that's going to happen. I know we'd approve the funding for it, but I just wanted to know if you've got any more up to date, because I get asked a lot about what's happening there.
I don't have the confirmed date from the contractor, but I know that they have been spoken to about, engaged about that, and it's should be within the next month or so. Do you have a date by any chance, Mary?
So talking with the contractor, the indication is May, mid-June-ish to begin, and they estimate that it'll take about 8 months.
And Hilda.
Just really want to congratulate the staff on the layout of the reports, plus the last item as well as this. I find it far more informative and, you know, giving us a status update. My only thing is we seem to always be behind the 8 ball, and that some things are cyclical for every wastewater treatment plant. And we sort of, you know, I know funding is limited, but, you know, things like sludging, wetland service, all that sort of stuff could be applied across all wastewater treatment plants. It's just something that has to be done, etc., etc. So, but I do appreciate the reports and commend the staff on real better clarity. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you.
There's no more questions, so I'll ask for a mover.
What?
And the seconder. Is there any further debate on the item? Happy to move. All in favour? Aye. Opposed? Carried. 6.2, we're on a roll. Well done. So this item thank you. We will ask Hillary to update this. I can looking my way.
So, Madam Chair, if I could just say that this is on track, and infrastructure admin are trying to organise a site visit to both the river treatment plant and the sewer main being installed in the areas of this committee.
And next Friday is a site visit for the Bissett Road housing development. That this funding is unlocking the ability for that housing development to go through.
I did have a question about this, but I'm not sure who would answer it. Because this is about the Koukou Infrastructure Acceleration Fund. I had the question about the Koukou Infrastructure Acceleration Fund. Do we have a staff member to update that? Because I'm aware that the district plan deliberations on the zone changes are imminent for that also.
Madam Chair, can I ask? Yes. Oh, Shelley.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Does everyone know Shelley? Would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Shelley Wharton. I'm the manager of infrastructure engineering. I've been at Farnells for about 7 months now. So kia ora. I have met you already. Sorry, Chair, can you just clarify the question that you wanted?
The question was an update on the progress for the Koukou Infrastructure Acceleration Project, because for some reason we have an update on the Koukou one, but I was lacking to find an update on the Koukou.
Thank you. Through the chair. So there's 4 different elements to the Koukou Infrastructure Acceleration Fund program of work. There is a water treatment plant, which involves a reservoir going in. That one is well progressed. We're in the final stages of design and planning the tender go out to the market Hopefully that will be able to happen in the next 1 to 2 months. We have water main renewals element to that program. That work has already been scoped and tendered out and awarded to a contractor. However, we are waiting on final decisions around the rezoning and all of those other elements, land negotiations and so on, to make sure that we put the infrastructure in the right place where the houses are going to go. The wastewater treatment plant part of the project, we have been in intense discussions around the design elements of that, working in with our consultants to come up with a future-proof design for the wastewater treatment plant that will create a compliant plant into the future, allow for growth in the area. That one we are probably a month to a month and a half away from finalising the detailed design and then to get for a tender into the market. The last element is wastewater network upgrades. Those ones we are in the scoping phase of, so we are looking at the modelling of our network, looking at where we have capacity issues and confirming what upgrades we need to do. And those are the 4 different components of the Koukou.
Thank you. Because it's a significant project and $37 million for our council, it'd be pretty important to have an update on that, just like this one in every committee, please. Thank you. Thank you so much. So have we got a mover for this update for Koukou? Councillor. Yeah. So any further debate? No. All in favour? Aye. Aye. You opposed? Carried. Okay, so before we have our morning tea, we're going to do the transportation operational.
Actually, we have Charlie online and Charlie, can I ask?
Morena. Through you, Madam Chair. So we'll just take that the reports have been read. It's just a monthly update on the major operational items from Ventia, from Fulton Hogan, the Hokianga Ferry and the lighting contracts. The key items, I guess, for a takeaway for our March update are just really regarding the severe weather events and the responses that the contractors were able to provide in relation to those.
Ali, sorry, can I ask you to speak up a little bit? Just, I note that Councillor Hilda isn't sitting closer to the screen.
Sure. Apologies, Madam Chair. So the March update for Ventia and Fulton Hogan, the Hokianga Ferry and our lighting contracts is provided. I'll take the papers as read, highlighting the main items just to draw to the committee's attention. I'm sure everyone is very familiar with the recent weather events in March, and fortunately the event which didn't have such an impact in early April. Over 100 roads were impacted, and NZTA funding is being sought in relation to Council's response to those events. There were between 3,000 to 5,000 cubes of slips that were affected on that, and a number of bridges and things which were buried and required responses. The unfortunate impact of the responses to the weather events is resources being diverted away from the program that the contractors are running. So some of the results for the month were slightly lower than forecast. And the contractors were ready across the district in relation to the April event as well, which fortunately didn't materialise to the same level of significance that was forecast. For in the northern part of the district, Fulton Hogan completed over 800 work items, including 52 road gradings and over 2,000 potholes that were filled. And completed approximately half of the reseal program. In the south, Ventia's identified a significant month in relation to footpath work, which is great to see, and it produced some good stats as well around working through culverts and water tabling. Next steps for the committee is we are looking towards preparing some workshops on the new maintenance contracts, which we're hoping to diarise for May, which will provide the committee and community boards information in relation to those contracts. So it's a bit of a what to expect as we're moving forward into that. We're looking forward to the opportunity to invite the contractors periodically as well. So the committee has an opportunity to discuss and query the contractors directly. And once those new maintenance contracts are in place as well, we're looking to revise the format of the reporting that the committee will receive. And so we're open to receive any feedback for improvements that come in that space. And that's the highlights package. Any further detailed queries, I'll direct to Andy in the room.
Before we have questions, Andy, did you have anything to add?
Charlie did a nice summary. Didn't much.
Thank you. So we've got a number of questions. Councillor Hilda, did you have questions?
Oh, no, I was just looking at the picture of the Pukeputo Road Bridge on page 72. And I mean, we had a delegation last year come in, and I'm just asking Councillor Allen if this is the road, and has it met with the changes, hopefully that will improve the situation, like, because that was desperate last year, but they were impacted again in the recent flood. Just really,
we can ask Andy.
I hope that it makes a big difference in some of their lives. Some of the kids weren't able to get to school, get to work.
We can ask Andy to respond to that because we've had a response from NZTA about how we fund bridges.
Through the chair, this was the work that was identified. Councillor Carr from NRC came and did the deputation in February, and so we've commenced trying to get that stream bed cleared to try and alleviate some of the flooding issues there, and it lines up with the posts that were put in with the flood height stuff as well that the community requested, but it doesn't alleviate all of the problem with the bridge going underwater. We saw that through those storm events again. So I guess the state that we're in is to get funding to replace a bridge to NZTA requires quite an involved process and quite a lot of justification. And as much as I would love to just race out there tomorrow and go and pull the bridge out and put a new one in, we have to follow their process because they are 71 cents in the dollar of everything we do. Hope that helps clarify.
A supplementary question from Councillor Arohanui.
Yeah, Joe Carr and I met with the community last month and they were very grateful for the work completed, but like you say, it doesn't actually solve the problem. And it doesn't even have to be raining where the bridge is, because where the bridge is, 3 rivers converge. So it could be raining outside of their local area, but they're still impacted. And the farmer there has had to dispose of milk, which impacts income and, all the flow-on effects from it. So the question is understanding that it's quite an involved process, and I have reached out to both you and Charlie since that meeting. Is it a process that we can engage in, even though it is quite involved? Is it worth engaging in for the sake of these community members who, I think, on average 32 times a year they're funded in or out? That's a lot of time in 1 year for kids to be missing school and people to be losing income. They've also got accommodation there where sometimes the people who are visiting Yellowstone would be flooded in and so can't leave, or will be flooded out, which impacts on their income as well. So can we engage in the process, even though it is involved?
So through the chair, we are already engaging in that process through our asset management plan development. So we sit with the regional council and the other two Northland district councils and go through the activity management process and planning at the moment, and that leads into our LTP.
Okay.
And so we can request, like we will be requesting what's called work category 216 bridge replacement. Quite enough evidence that justifies doing some bridge replacement projects. We would also like to visit the community further to discuss other options as well in the meantime.
Absolutely, and they're more than happy to be involved in the project to support in keeping costs down. They're very hardworking people over there, and you know they're offering their tractors and their diggers and their hands and feet and whatever else that may be necessary. They also noted Barfoot, who does bridges, who they believe will be able to quote a bridge at much less than what our proposed budget is. I do have their details in my notebook and I'll find it later, but they're very involved and willing to do whatever it takes to support getting this done.
Thank you, councillor. And then next is councillor.
I just wasn't going to talk to that, but I'll just add in that every fortnight we have a road activity management plan meeting, and we have discussed this bridge. Also aware that there are a significant number of other bridges that are in exactly the same scenario, and we haven't had the benefit of a deputation from those communities to council. So what we are hoping will endorse the unsealed road strategy when it comes out, and this will form part of the work program moving forward, and then it will be a matter of prioritising a significant number of bridges. We've got 723 in total across the district, not all in flood of course, but we will be prioritising through that strategy. Some of them will not be eligible for funding. I want to be really clear about that. NZTA have finite resources as well. So at some point, we're going to have to make some political calls about whether we fund some of the projects outside of NZTA funding. We will workshop all that as part of LTP, I'm sure. Madam Chair, I regard to item 6.3, I guess 4 points. On the pull-out page 34, we have a significant budget for certificate water renewals. I would like to see the same line entered for the Koukou and the Bay of Islands, so we have visibility of the footpath renewals program. On page 52, contract notices March 26th, notice to engineer, advance notices of fuel increase costs have been advised. We need to keep a very close eye on the impact of the whether there are any force majeure provisions in our contracts and what that might look like moving forward. So that's just really watch this space. And then on page 68, there were 3 accidents reported. If an accident results in an injury or a fatality, I'm very mindful of the sensitivities to the family when that happens. I'm also mindful that an investigation is done to determine what contributed to the crash. If there are any learnings from those in regard to our network, I would like to see those recorded back to us in a PX paper so we can consider whether road improvements outside of process are required. And the final point that I wanted to raise was in relation to page 85. And we had a significant drop in revenue from the ferry. And it's another thing that I want elected members to have a watching brief over, because there may be budgetary impacts of that as we move forward and the petrol crisis deepens. That's just my feedback from the report. I thought it was an excellent report, and I want to say huge shout out to our two contractors for producing a very readable and informative report.
Andy, can you respond to any of the matters?
Through the chair, which one first?
Oh, I don't think they need to be responded to in this forum. It's really just bringing people's attention. Thank you.
Kia ora, Madam Chair, just a slight error on page 79. I don't believe that picture is of Omaki Road, Koukou. Perhaps Kaitaia, but I don't even know if that's Omaki Road, Kaitaia. And on page 82, similarly, shift minor. But just wanted to pay for councillor and Court's commentary about the report. Really, really good report, and thank you to staff for the detail and the commentary this morning.
Councillor Balke and then Member.
I was just, thank you through the chair. I didn't actually put my hand up for a question, but I will soon. I've got the opportunity. Just regarding the Te Huku Wood footpath renewals. I think they're all in hand, though, that aren't they, Andy? Their money is going to be spent. I think that right, Bill. They've had that updated of what's going to happen with the footpath renewals through the community board.
Yes, I think it has. But again,
Is that correct?
Through the chair, footpath renewals is delivered through the road maintenance contract. So yes, that isn't.
Yeah.
Well,
we will spend it.
Is the new footpath, which is not included in this report. That is separate. It's a paper that's going to the community board at the next meeting.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Kia ora, Andy, thank you for this report. It's fantastic. There's so much gold in this. When I read through it, I'm like, oh wow, I just want to make infographics to share with people around the mahi that is happening, because you know, you go out and about across the rohe, people don't think anything's happening, but in actual fact there are. And I just a few comments. One, Port Ventia only received one piece of positive feedback in the past month. I think it was the new report. Well, driving around, especially after the storms, our contractors have been getting some mahi out there. I really appreciated the Northland Ferries report. In the past, we haven't had it this in depth before. Like the fact that our ferry uses 200,000 litres of diesel a year. We've got in next week's council meeting a contract extension for Northland Ferries for the Hokianga Ferry. So, you know, this all plays into all of it and planning in that space. My question though is, or maybe just, I don't know who normally does this stuff, but because I love all the gold that comes with this, I like to be able to share it or to steer the public other than just to an agenda to where they can access it on our website. And when I checked our website, our monthly reports used to get loaded separately to here, but the last time that happened was October 2025 for our monthly rating reports for Ventia and Hawke's and Hogan. So if those could be updated on our website. And then for our Friday notices, you know how we get our weekly or fortnightly schedule with what mahi is planned to happen. That hasn't been updated since March 1st of March 2026. So if whoever's job it is to normally to put those things up on our website, if that could please happen.
I had a question, and
Then we'll be able to move the item. My question was on page 29. It talked about just a couple of brief paragraphs about the drainage for the two different areas. And I noticed that the southern area with Ventia has quite a lot more culverts replaced and culverts cleared and new culverts and head walls established. I wasn't sure why the two different areas seem to be approaching the work program, like why the northern area hadn't really focused on that, but the southern Ventia contractors had. Was there any rationale for why the northern area wasn't replacing the culverts, etc., compared to the southern area? And while Andy's bringing that up, I just wanted to note as well to the committee that I have asked for the contractors to come and speak to us at these monthly meetings for both areas. And that because of the change in approach of our contract, we will have a much more of an ability to change and react to what works get done, not based on the seasons, because of the change to value and measure. Andy.
Yep, through the chair, the drainage programs are developed ahead of the month. So some months that may be that they're replacing culverts, whereas other months they may just be refurbishing head walls or clearing them. In terms of, and as far as getting our contractors to come, I think that's a good idea. In the future, when we have the new contracts in play, that was what Charlie was referring to about doing those workshops with elected members.
Chair, with respect, I think it's a typo. If you actually go to page 38, it says 169 meters of culvert pipes. It's drainage maintenance and renewal, and it's about 6 years.
Yes.
It's a transposition.
But when the contractor's here, we can ask them that directly.
Chair, could it get any colder here?
I think it could, or we may be passing around blankets. But while you're awake because of the cold, I'll get someone to move the item. So we're on page 28. Hey, Chicky. Is there any further debate on the operational update?
Chair, I just had a question on the lighting contract. This is something that always tends to be a bit of a problem in our communities. Can I assume with the inspections being done monthly that the maximum period of time we can be without a light or the work involved in it illuminated is 1 month?
Through the chair, I'd have to go and check with the contractor what their frequency is per area. I'm not sure that they do the by network in a month. But also, if there is a light that is out, then an RFS should be raised through the 0800 number and that, or through the Ask Us email address, and that goes straight to the contractor. It doesn't respond to.
I think that the issue that we have is we get to 3 to 4 hours of less daylight as we go out of daylight savings and head into the shortest day. And that's when everybody starts to notice how dark it is. And what we're finding is because the lights are installed or the bulbs, they tend to go at the same time. So you can end up with 5 or 6 in an area going out, and they will only, I mean, I'm not sure what the minimum amount is now that they have to have out because they actually come and replace them, but you can end up with some really dark areas around our towns and villages. I just think there's a little bit of a, I mean, not having that localism lens on it with the contractor. There seems to be that lack of, you know, a bulb's out, let's replace it going on, and we can be quite some periods of time in the dark. There's always been a bit of a gap in that contract, that satisfaction, and I think people don't really bring the RFSs in. You have to do your own community drive around night to see what's out. Getting requests for street lights and they're actually unfounded because the lights are there, the bulbs will start working.
I'll get Andy to come back to you with that response. Also, I would like to just by Tricky's move of that motion, because I don't think you're on this committee.
She is.
She is?
Yes. It's been added.
Yes, you can. Koukou was trying to take away.
It's added now.
So we've had a mover, who we've clarified is on the committee, a seconder, all in favour? Any opposed? Carried. I think we can get through one more. So. So.
Chair, I have to get a blanket.
Yes.
According to my thermometer, it's 14 degrees.
So it's, if someone can get councillor Koukou a blanket, we're going to go to 6.5, which is a road safety update on page 103. I did skip. So road safety update. And if you remember, this is final 3. And I'm not sure if we've got someone to speak to this. Who would it be, Charlie or Andy? Charlie?
Through you, Madam Chair. So we're just providing the REIT report periodically to.
Please, Charlie.
Sorry, apologies. Through you, Madam Chair, we're just providing the updated REIT report periodically to committee, just to keep the committee abreast of the health and safety initiatives that are being conducted on behalf of council across the community. This one is from February. Timing is due to the previous committee meeting being cancelled, so we're just resharing this one, and we're proposing to bring these reports through quarterly going forwards. Take the paper as read and just ask any detailed questions through Andy, please.
Thank you, Mr. Billington. Any questions from the members for this?
Question. This is showing that I read this late last night. So maybe the answer's in there. But I am a big fan of Final 3 in the mahi they do, along with the other community road safety organisations that they work with. District. And I always love seeing the license pass rates, because this report showing 100%. 28 new learner license drivers and 2 new restricted license drivers. Did we have any full license drivers over the reporting period as well? This is real gold, this stuff, because we pushed, we supported before the move community licensing, and it was a pilot program that the Far North and I think it was Opotiki were able to be a part of. And this sort of data is like exactly what the likes of Anne and Rachel can use when they go into RTC, where you are in front of ministers, or that any of us can use really when we're advocating for, you know, like road safety program funding when it got chopped in the last GPS. So.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Sorry, Madam Chair, did you walk through 6.4?
No, I decided not to do that because I knew it would be a large item.
We're on 6.5.
Period. So this is the REIT safety update. Do we have any other questions? I'm happy to move this paper. Do we have a seconder? Is there any further debate? Oh, all in favour? Aye. Opposed? Passed. And we're going to do another paper because we haven't been told about when. So I'm not sure. I think we'll spend a bit more time on the capital work. So we'll move into the infrastructure consenting status, page 113, 6.6. Who do we have to speak to? Are they able to come and speak with the paper? If you just come to the centre, that's okay. So this is on page 113. You're welcome.
Chair, and what I'm going to do is set aside, let Lossalini speak to her report. Yeah, I'll give support when if needed. If you were good.
Thank you. Welcome.
Let me just grab my laptop. Thanks, Mary. So our consenting.
And I'll just ask you to speak up if that's okay.
Chair, our consenting update provides an update for the consenting program since our last update last year in July, I believe. So there's been a few highlights that we've been able to achieve and focus on. So we've got a few granted consents which have had some wins in itself. So for example, for the consents that we've applied for, we've been able to achieve a consent duration for what we've applied for. So for example, Koukou wastewater treatment plant, that's been granted on 35-year consent duration, which is what we have applied for. In addition to that, we've also been able to find some financial successes. So for Koukou, for example, that's been granted with an underspend of 276,000. And also for Hihi as well, although not granted, we've already found underspends there of 180,000, and that's due to the fact that we've been able to avoid the hearing process. Similarly across this, we've been able to publicly notify these applications. For Hihi, for example, received no submissions. However, for Koukou, we've been able to negotiate, and submissions have withdrawn their need to be heard. We've got a couple of stormwater consents underway at the moment. So for Kaitaia Urban Stormwater, that is a new consent that is underway. Engagement has started with that one. We've got our project manager or our planner reaching out to the relevant hubba groups for this, as well as other stakeholders. Lodgement for this is expected in September. As for the Kirikiri stormwater consent, that has currently been lodged and is with the NRC processing, who are currently updating their stormwater maps. So that's sitting with them.
Thank you. I had a question. And the same question I asked this morning, but sorry, you weren't here to answer it. It was about the consenting of the land drainage and the drones, which you didn't hear Councillor this morning talk about. So the land drainage schemes are being consented at the moment. This is what we were told, but we haven't been told about having all of the drone mapping so we can have accurate GIS mapping of the assets and of the area of benefit for that consent.
Sorry, Chair, mate. I don't believe the drone mapping is a requirement of applying for the resource consent. that is an additional operational thing that that
Oh.
we're doing as part of the committee
Yeah.
work and the work programs.
I understand that. I just didn't understand how you could apply for something to be consented if you didn't know what it was. If the math were incorrect.
Through the chair, part of the consenting process is to update that. So
Yes, that's what I thought.
yeah, so there are different components of this, and so part of that is the management plans, the mapping. That so our plan is to lodge the consent and then put on hold until we get everything else up to date and in line with each other.
No, that was all.
Okay. Kia ora, nā mihi kia koe. Just on pages 118, can't help but notice there's a lack of love from our council to the hokianga. And as the moves to remediate that, I see what you're doing. But yeah, it's quite seriously low. The Koukou wastewater treatment, 5%, Opanoni, Opapini wastewater, 5%, etc. And then there's 4 more.
So through the third chair. So for our wastewater treatment plants, particularly for Koukou and Opanoni, those consents due to reform have been, the consent expiries have been pushed out to 2028. And so our typical process begins 2 years before that. So part of that consent requires that BPO or that best practical option investigations. So that's still underway, which is, although relevant to the consenting process, is a separate project. Once that BPO project has been confirmed and determined, then we start kicking off a consent for that BPO outcome. So where we're standing at right now for Koukou and Opanoni, those are at similar stages. We have applied for a variation consent, as you may have seen above, to actually vary the consent conditions around the BPO due dates. So that's the first part of this process. And then once those consent conditions granted, or that variation consent has been granted, we'll continue with our BPO investigations. Once those BPO investigations are completed, then we'll kick off the consenting process.
I just hope there's going to be some huge improvement. Yes. Massive.
I don't see any other questions, so we just need a mover for the motion. Seconder. Councillor Court. Got that. So is there any further debate or questions or matters? Move the item. All in favour? Any opposed? Carried.
Awesome report.
Thank you. So we can break for lunch and for, as I get my coffee, thank you. Or should we do one more item? We can do one more item because I had coffee.
Yes, yeah, Madam Chair.
So we'll do the 6.7. I do realise we haven't done capital works, but we'll come back to that after lunch. This is the last item for lunch. So solid waste services contract 6.7. On page 121.
Madam Chair, invited our subject matter expert into her paper. It's the first time that Gaynor has talked to us. We stole her about a year ago from Lower Hutt. And very lucky to have her. So if there's any questions, then we'll take the report as read.
Welcome, and I'd actually like to invite you to speak to your paper, if that's okay, on your first time. Be comfortable. I've got Peter Ivans here as well. So welcome to speak to your paper. Thanks.
I'm Gabriel Miller. As Larry said, I'm the new Waste Minimisation Sustainable started in August last year. It's been amazing to joining the council, moving up all the way from Wellington. I will take my paper as read. It is about the performance of how Northern Waste is doing in the contract. I would like to put in the focus of the response and the support Northern Waste has given us through the March event. They have, through no fault, responded immediately with skip bins, opening of the transfer stations, accepting flood relief, damaged items from the residents and so on. I think I'll leave it here.
I think I'll open for questions. I had a question about the security cameras that have been put up. I'm not sure if anyone else has seen them, and they're on like a concrete block on the corner where we've had illegal dumping sites. Whose idea was that, and what have you seen in terms of the results?
Thank you, through the chair. I would like to explain that how that has happened is a company has gotten through us and got in touch with me to say that they originally had these cameras up at roading roadsides because of jobs that were completed, and because of the March event. Sorry, the jobs were completed, and so these cameras were stranded here up north due to the weather events. And so because these cameras, because this company does quite a lot of work for councils across the country, they know that illegal dumping is a problem across the board. And so that's how they reached out to tell me that they have these cameras that they would happily offer us just to see how it goes. It is only 2. And they have offered it for us for a free trial for a couple of weeks, that we can learn what does that look like for council when we start looking into CCTV, and what does it mean, what's the capabilities of it, and I accepted that because it was such a good opportunity to learn. And then when we do our own investigations and want to put funding towards getting CCTV across other areas, we would know what we want and how we would like to manage.
And what results have you seen in the however long?
So we have seen a bit of footage of a few people that has come and put down black bags at a specific collection point at Church Road in the Koukou ward. The plan wasn't to hide it or any of the case. We just wanted to see what was the effect, because having the cameras would allow us to be able to send footage to the compliance team for us to then infringe. The people who have disposed the black bags at the collection point, that is not accepted, because they only need to put down approved prepaid bags. However, I believe that the deterrence is the key, and that is what we started seeing. So initially, we started getting footage from the company, shared us with what's happened, and then it went silent. So there hasn't come any footage further from people placing down the incorrect color of bag. The other placement was at one of our transfer stations that's experiencing a really high break-ins and getting into the bins, taking the scrap metal, and also trying to get into the containers to look for valuable items. And that's also helped the deterrence for visitors not to come along. So this is essentially just a really good opportunity that came across a path. I thought I'd take it with hands and see how it works before making concrete decisions going ahead.
Some idea, well done. Sorry. Member Sabritsky as well, or sorry, do we have on?
So sorry. I think I would just, through the chair, would like to add just a comment. One of the capabilities of the cameras at the transfer station has the ability to, as soon as there's somebody that's listening, provided, a police report can immediately be issued.
Oh, excellent.
Member Subtitles.
Through the chair, thank you. How are you getting? In our last meeting, I think it was early March or mid-March, we talked about waste management. We're talking about removing some of the large bins.
The collection
The
points?
collection points, yeah. Are you using these cameras just to reassess that, or have we got a time frame when they were looking at moving some of those and going back to door-to-door collection sort of thing?
Thank you very much. Through the chair, I just wanted to bring back that approved collection points is not part of the Northland Waste Compact. This sits separately outside. However, to answer, no, the camera is not to replace our project that we're looking into. It's just because of the opportunity that came our way that we know that that is one of the big problem approved collection points, and that therefore the setup of the camera.
Okay, thank you.
Kia ora for the really detailed report and giving insight about what some of the issues are that have been faced by our staff and our refuse centres. I suppose I really wanted to comment from page 124. I really want to thank how North Waste responded to the flooding in Kaitaia in particularly. Even though it wasn't really clear, I know there were 6 skip bins there and then they were filled up quickly and there wasn't really, people asking me, how do I get to dump my rubbish that's been, impacted by the flood? I couldn't kind of give those answers, but, internally we were told, oh, you just go and say that you came from this place, etc. So I just found that response really good, but it could have been a bit helpful, what people say when they go and take their stuff, because, we had people say, oh, be honest, it's not your household rubbish. So we didn't want to have people trying to do lie detector tests when they drop your rubbish off. So I appreciated the skits. God, what was the other thing? And the other thing that I have, two other things that came out of that was the appreciation of the mayoral funds for whānau who were really impacted by, flooding in their houses, directly across from Pack and Save and Bells, etc. And other places, even it was just taking out, because everything had to be washed down because of the septic flow as well. And so and I just want to say that although the flooding is over, there's a lot of sort of fear for the next one. Also living with damaged goods in their homes and all that sort of stuff. But what I did also appreciate that I don't know what we're doing, but maybe other community groups are doing is that part of the government response was setting up task force cleanup groups. And I am told often that the cleanup is still going on. And whānau can do so much, but sometimes the work is so big that it requires more than what maybe somebody who's elderly or, has a mum, a single mum with kids, what they can do. So I just want to thank Northern Waste for that response and also for the comprehensive report. And I hope that you fix up all the refuse centres where they're saying they want a pothole fixed here and a roof fixed there and what do you call it, those little sheds replaced, because they're I enjoy reading the reports. Thank you.
On the illegal dumping, but segueing a little bit, is that we have a number of just normal community members who on their walk collect up the rubbish that people have just thrown out their windows. While I was there doing my recycling, older gentleman came 2 rubbish bags of rubbish that is not his own, but that he picked up, and he quite happily paid for the disposal of that. But it shouldn't actually be his cost to bear, and he's doing our community a world of good. Is that are there any mechanisms in place where our champions of the taiao can dispose of rubbish, other people's rubbish that they've picked up? Not necessarily community organisations, just your normal average Joe blog, to dispose of that without having to then incur the cost of disposal?
Yeah, so they are more than welcome to get in contact with council to tell us that they have done their great deed, and how that process would normally work is I would be happily get in touch with the operator when they have a nominated transfer station, then I can provide them with the person's vehicle reg number to let them know when they do arrive that we can waive that fee, because we would put it up as a community cleanup fee. But I would like to add that I'm in the process of working on it's a very small piece of work, however, but I think it would be very beneficial setting up a web page on our website to essentially do a small application that would provide me with the rego information, the nominated transfer station information. Council, however, does have a requirement to ensure that our volunteers are safe. So we do ask them to provide a health and safety and risk management. I understand that maybe just the normal Joe blog might not have these, documents. However, in the process, they are more than welcome to contact our waste minimization partners, Eco Solutions, /CBEG, we are more than happy to help out our people to, buy something, because we wouldn't want anybody to be out there and cleaning up other people's rubbish and then get hurt in the process. However, this little application form that I want to set up that will be available on our website would be so beneficial for us to capture that information, and then I can have proper record keeping and ensuring that information immediately goes to our operators to just allow that person to come through without paying for that litter that they picked up.
Okay. So even without the health and safety, they can still come through, get their rego and get the rubbish disposed of for free?
They can, yes, they can come and contact the council to let us know about it, but I think it is really important for us to I think it's important to ensure that our people are safe when they do the cleanups, because it is also a different hazard when they clean up close to the roads versus closer to waterways, right? Happy to receive a call or so to help out, because I know that not every case is going to be the same, but I think if we can push the same process, that would be good, because that ensures great record keeping for us.
Okay. I can just hear the argument back that they've been doing it for years and they're going to do it for years and nothing's ever happened to them and all of that, and don't want red tape, and given the great intention of it, it's still red tape to inhibit them from accessing it. Because I did speak to the gentleman at the Koukou waste plant and said, look, here's my email, I can and he was not interested because he doesn't want to deal with council because it's too long, it's too slow, and it's too all of this, and he'd rather just pay the $12 and get the rubbish done. But it shouldn't be his cost to bear.
That's why he's more than welcome to get council and will come to me. Go to the community board.
On that point, Mr. Risky has a supplementary question.
I'm just getting back to the 24th meeting again in the Herikino project we were looking at. Any timeframe set on that, and has work started on the Herikino area?
We're having a kickoff meeting in the next week. We just kind of wanted to get over the weather event, because the place has been fully mobilized and supporting us, and ensuring cleanups can still take place, but it's not off the radar. We will continue with it.
Thank you. And I'm not sure if there's a prize for the most innovative idea, but I think those security cameras need to be one of the top prizes, because I think it costs us about $100,000 every year for illegal dumping. So there should be an innovation idea prize for us, I think. So thank you very much. We've had it moved and no? Okay, I'll happy to move. In second, and any further debate? No, all in favour? Aye, thank you. And we're going to pause for lunch for 20 minutes. I think that'll be long enough. So if we could pause the audio, just so that we can't hear how busy it is.
So we're talking about you, Madam Chair.
Yes.
I don't want to come and work for you. We get frozen, no food, no toilet breaks.
Hey.
Yeah.